Hello, greetings to all of you. I would like to begin this session on value education, specifically with the idea of motivating our teachers and the professors in the colleges and universities with regard to why value education, or you can call it value inculcation. Why and how is what I want to share in this short video presentation. Let me begin by saying the meaning of value education. What do we mean by it? We shall begin with the fundamental question. What is value education? So the very purpose and main function of education is the development of all round and well balanced personality of the students. When I say all round, I do not say this round. I talk about a well balanced personality. It is also to develop all dimensions of the human intellect so that our children can help make our nation more democratic, cohesive, socially responsible, culturally rich, and intellectually competitive nation. So this is actually, we can say, value education. Well, more than all this, education must make our students better human beings. This is to simply to put it. But nowadays, all of you are aware, more emphasis is unduly laid on knowledge-based and information-oriented education, which takes care of only the intellectual development of the students and their career. We are in an age where the new education policy 2020 has been approved by our government. Now, this policy does not seem to address the question of universal values, though this policy has a lot of good elements, but purely of job market oriented education. So, value education is the total of all the process by means of which a person develops abilities, attitudes, and other forms of behavior of the positive values of the society in which he or she lives. So, what is value education then? Today, due to the changed understanding of education, which is purely focused towards the development of technology, the other important aspects of the personality are neglected. Like, for example, the physical, the emotional, the social, and spiritual values are not properly developed in providing for the growth of the attitudes, habits, values, skills, and interests among the students. So it is here that we need to speak about value education or value inculcation. It has become so important today more than ever before. So in a way, value education is a many-sided attempt, and it is an activity during which young people are assisted by adults or older people in schools, families, homes, clubs, or in religious and other organizations. So during these interactions, the young people make visible those underlying their own attitudes to assess the effectiveness of these values for their own life and for others' well-beings. So what are the, today there may be some doubts among some of them. What are the values that we need to stress? Or what are the priority values? Now, this question is creating and posing before us a crisis of priorities. Which of these values is to be cultivated and at what age, what appropriate stage? Now that is a very big question to be sorted out. And this is where the new education policy it totally is silent on this. Okay. The third point is, what are the objectives of value education? What is the purpose? So any education has certain objectives. In the same manner, value education also must have some clear objectives. Now, value education is not something that we give extra during extra times or free times. And many teachers consider that it is something additional, something extra after doing all the other education. Now, this is where our system fails. Value education is not an education that is considered by teachers as burdensome or botheration, but it is an education or essential aspect of a holistic education, total education. I would like to place before you some of the characteristics of value education. 1. Full development of a student's personality in all its dimensions. 2nd, inculcation of good manners and being a responsible citizen. 3rd, developing respect for the dignity of human individuals and society. I use the word human here. 4th, inculcation of a spirit of patriotism and national integration. 5, developing a democratic way of thinking and living. Respect for democratic values. Respect for the preamble of our Constitution. Any nation that deviates from this or from these have not been successful. Number 6, developing tolerance towards an understanding of different religious faiths, that means religions, languages, races, and cultures. 7, developing a sense of brotherhood or sisterhood at the social, national, international levels. These are global values. 8, helping students to have faith in themselves and in God. This is something very, very unique to our nation. Number 9, enabling students to make decisions on the basis of sound moral principles. And number 10, training them in human and divine values that would make them better human persons. So I think these are important elements that we need to keep in mind. Okay. Now, who has to give value education? Who used to inculcate values? Is it parents, teachers, and good leaders, or the affluent ones, the business tycoons, the politicians, the corporate high-tech Swamijis and gurus? Who used to inculcate values? The easy and obvious answer is the teacher. The teacher is the prime inculcator of values because the young are under his or her formal care. They spend maximum amount of time with them in the schools. Okay. Value education can also take place at home as well as in schools, colleges, universities, and in voluntary organizations. So there are two main approaches to value education. One is inculcating or transmitting a set of values which often comes from family, society, or religious rules or cultural ethics. The second is the other, where people are gradually brought to their own realization by teaching, learning of what is good behavior for themselves and for the society. Okay, let me move to the next point. How can we make the value education as value oriented? There are many ways to make value education as really valuable. First of all, the teachers have to take troubles and make some extra efforts to prepare the lesson plan well and make the value education classes interesting and relevant. Now, for me, this is the prime important, even before the syllabus that we are talking about. The second, the teachers need some training in value education and on values and ethics. The third, preparing a value education textbook that is relevant for the school or for the college or for the particular culture. These are very important for me in terms of priorities. I come next to what are the different types of values that these value education classes can focus on. I will not touch upon all of those values, but some of them. First is a human value. The basic human values can be the starting point. Human values are the virtues that guide us to take into account the human element when we interact with other human beings. For example, respect, acceptance, consideration, appreciation, listening, openness, affection, empathy, and love towards other human beings. Now, these are values that we need to focus primarily. Number one. Second, social values, love, compassion, tolerance, and justice, which are the basic teachings of most of our religions. So these are the values to be nurtured so that all forms of life are protected. Third, cultural and religious values. Now, these are the values enshrined in Vedas, like you give me and I give you. It emphasizes that we should not exploit anyone without nurturing them. So our cultural customs and rituals in many ways teach us to respect everyone, including nature, treating them as sacred, like rivers, earth, mountains, or forests. See how these values are so much enshrined in our Indian culture and ethos. Number four, ethical values. Ethical values are those which serve to distinguish between good and bad, right and wrong, moral and immoral. At a societal level, these values frequently form a basis for what is permitted and what is prohibited. Ethics are the set of rules that govern the behavior of a person or established by a group or culture. And ethics refers to the guidelines for conduct that address question about morality. This is a fourth type of value. The fifth one, global values. The human civilization is a part of the planet as a whole. And similarly, all of us, including nature, are interconnected and interlinked with the special bonds of harmony. So if we disturb this harmony anywhere, there will be all types of imbalance leading to catastrophic results, and which we are seeing in our world. And the sixth, spiritual values. So the values of truth, righteousness, peace, love, and non-violence are found in all major spiritual paths. I mean religions. These spiritual values are also human values and are the fundamental roots of a healthy, vibrant, and caring society. So the principles of self-restraint, self-discipline, contentment, reduction of wants, freedom from greed and austerity are some of the finest elements intricately woven into the traditional and religious fabric of our country. So all these values promote and transform our selfless approach and make us more disciplined. So they also make our world a better place to live for others. So I think with this, I uh, stop my sharing with you on inculcation of value education or value inculcation. Thank you.